But the cyclical turning point, let's say stocks fall another 20% from here. If I'm right with a secular trend, your downside is 20%, your upside is 10x over the next 5-10 years, maybe less, depending how fast this stuff happens. So the point being is in risk return, people are too short term with their time horizon. Oh my God, the market might collapse. You should be thinking, this is amazing. It's come back down to the secular trend. I can start accumulating here, and this will unfuck my future because this will outperform the Fed balance sheet, and it will generate me wealth. And if my job is getting disrupted, my life's getting disrupted, I will have made gains from doing it. That is how it works for you. If I look at the exponential age basket, so I put a big basket together for GMI of all of the component parts of this, and it's not a perfect basket, but it's just a broad representation. What's in my basket? Again, this is not a perfect basket. It's the best I could do initially. I've had to learn a lot of stuff here. I didn't know any of this stuff. I was a macro guy, and I thought technology was evil, it was overvalued, it was bullshit, and then I realized I was completely wrong. And in fact, it was the only way in the equity market to outperform the balance sheet. So what I've got in the basket is Apple, which is VR wearables, and I equally weighted it as well, just to not have this big market cap weight of these giant companies. Apple's about to come with breakthroughs in VR, AR, wearables, Internet of Things, AI. ARK, people hate ARK. Yeah, great. I love it now. It was down 80%. Why would you not love it? Even if she's half right, she can make a lot of money here, and I believe in her thesis. Is she the best stock picker in the world? Well, time will tell. Maybe not. Maybe she is. But directionally, she's absolutely right. And her thesis is absolutely right. Whether you believe her thesis on individual stocks or whatever, but overall, she's trying to buy the growth end of technology and says that we are in somewhat of an exponential age. Get it? BBH, that's the biotech ETF. Biotech, I don't even know how to approach that space. There's so much going on. I don't really know. Just buy a ETF with a bunch of stocks in it. That kind of makes sense. It's the Van Eck one. Coinbase got super killed. I think it's very cheap. I think with the FTX blow up and Binance, it has a good chance of actually being a very large part of the future here. And it's very discounted. I wanted an equity that has the digital asset trend in it. I've already got that bet on anyway. And, a big part of this is I have the digital asset bet. We'll come on to that in a sec. Esports is kind of like metaverse. So there is an esports ETF, so I've chucked that in it. Google, robotics, AI, fully self-driving cars, biotech, wearables, Internet of Things. I mean, they've got everything in Google X, and it's completely undervalued by the market. So I want some of that because any of these breakthroughs, Google are going to be a part of this. Meta, very hated stock. Love it when it gets this sold off. I didn't hold it all the way down. I started buying this exponential age basket in kind of April, May, and then added recently as well, because the idea is a long-term bet and I don't mind a bit of volatility in it because I'm trying to capture the much larger upside. When stuff like Meta's down so far, it's either going to fail in its pivot or the market has wildly mispriced it. Its pivot is metaverse, AR, VR, and also digital assets, the integration of NFTs into Instagram, super interesting. They get the whole story. Microsoft, clearly, they're just buying OpenAI. They have already AI. They've got massive amounts of data processing with Azure and all sorts of other stuff. Really interesting. And it's dressed up as a boring company. Galaxy, I just like owning gatekeepers and tolls, and Coinbase is a toll for retail and institutions, and Galaxy is the more institutional toll into the crypto world. Usually makes sense. Reliance Industries, you've heard me talk about this before. This is the Indian giant, the people that paid off, that basically took over the entire Indian telco market by underpricing data, took the entire market, ran up massive debts, and then paid off all of the debt in the fastest ever period of time by raising money from sovereign wealth funds, Facebook, everybody else. And they're basically building out the entire infrastructure of this exponential age, from a green energy grid to oil refining to 5G, probably 6G, and then the applications layer of internet businesses, everything they are building within India. And India is an incredibly fast-growing economy. So you've got technology, the fastest-growing economy in the world, with a young population, all wrapped up in this one stock. Why would you not? Robotics, another ETF out there, broad base of robotics companies. Are they the right ones? I don't know. Let's get direction in the right place. Semis, you've heard me talk about semis. Scottish Mortgage Trust, because they're bloody good at this. They've been doing it for a long time. That's the growth end of technology. And Tesla. Tesla is a bunch of these things, from Internet of Things to fully self-driving to robotics. There's a lot there in Tesla. I buy into the long-term thesis that this is a much, much bigger company than people understand. I don't care. I understand that people have a different view. It's part of my basket. It's not my whole bet. And you might take umbrage. I don't like ARK, or Tesla's a bunch of rubbish, or whatever you may be. But directionally, this basket gets it right. You can choose your own basket. Again, I'm not saying I have any source of truth. I just want to get directionally right, because I can't find an argument to say this is not going to work over time. It's really hard to argue that when you've just seen what we've seen in AI. And so I just want people to focus on that, drop all their preconceptions aside, all the bear fest that's going on right now, and say, I need to unlock my future 10 years out. What am I going to do, Raoul? This is what I'm telling you, the best thing I can do. The other one is digital assets. I've made this super clear. I think it's the best bet in the world. I think it's much better than the exponential age bet, because it's exponential in its own right. And again, cyclical turning point on a secular trend. So very quickly, there's the chart Bitcoin. There's the logarithmic uptrend, 2 standard deviations oversold. This is where you want to be buying it. So that kind of makes total sense to me. And guess what? It's cyclical, because it's cyclical based on global money supply within a secular trend. So the ups and downs in that secular trend are actually driven by money supply. Makes total sense. All assets are the same. So there we go. Bitcoin, global money supply. Global money supply is turned up. Where is global money supply going to be in 6 months' time? Tighter or looser? 0.0 chance it's tighter, because inflation is going to fall just mathematically. So it either stays the same or it goes looser. So what it's saying is this is the point in the cycle. Crypto actually turned first. It turned first, then exponential age stocks, then NASDAQ, and everything else came in October. But crypto came, actually ETH turned in June. Forward looking, and I've been flagging this to everybody as much as I can. So I really like this. Here's the secular uptrend, cyclical downtrend. This is the point. Every time that happens, usually it's like 10, 20, 30, 50x from here, depending what you have. Bitcoin's not my bet here. I would probably choose to have Ethereum. Okay, so Ethereum. Well, that's one hell of a chart. That's the log trend of Ethereum. We start breaking above, a level there, which is about 2,000. If we break 2,000, then we've broken the whole pattern, and then off we go to the races. I think that's what's playing out. Now, did we do that in one go, or did we chop around? Who the hell knows? Don't really care. I've bought as much as I possibly can into the sell-off. I kept hold of all of my position. And, I've got some other crypto as well. But this is my core bet. It's the easiest way of expressing the view. It's on the log trend. It's oversold. It looks like it's going up. The business cycle is turning up on a forward-looking basis. It's exactly what we need. And also, there's the chart of Ethereum versus Bitcoin. That's at one hell of a wedge. If that plays out, then we should see ETH doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5x Bitcoin in the next run. And ETH probably won't be the best performing crypto either. I don't know. I look at the chart of Solana, and it looks like it could outperform Ethereum. And could something else do? For sure. So I'm not saying what's what. I'm just saying this is where I think it is. Why? Because Ethereum is a broader basis architectural protocol of which we can build more stuff on top of. Bitcoin just doesn't do that. It has a different use case, so it's unlikely to be as big. Is the internet worth more than gold? Yes, simple as that, and that's basically the argument here. Okay, on to India. India, secular trend at near interesting levels. Problem is with bloody India, it barely ever corrects. The last time we really got a correction was 2000, from the 90s into 2002, and then this is in dollar terms. So it kind of rose quite a lot, but dollars, it's sort of sideways trended, still in an upslope, but really in dollar terms, I guess its peak was still in 2008. But it did get in the bloody pandemic to 2 standard deviations oversold, and I missed it. I'm so angry with myself. I've been waiting for that perfect entry for India, and it never happens because more and more young people start investing in the market in India, and therefore it keeps going up. It's kind of like the US was from the 80s onwards. But if I look at the short-term chart of the Indian stock market in dollar terms, maybe we can test the breakout level. But we want to be buyers here because it's very hard to argue that India's not going to have a next leg up. Now, is it going to outperform technology? I doubt it. And is it going to outperform crypto? No chance. But is it a decent bet? Yeah, I think so. Over time, I find it very difficult to argue India's not going to be. But, India's upside might be a 10x and crypto might be 100x and technology stocks might be 30x, 50x over the next kind of 15 years. So it's okay. It's nice. I like it. I love the story. If you don't like technology and you want to find something and you want to buy emerging markets because you think the dollar's going to be weaker, India's the one to own. There is other cyclical opportunities that I think come up, and most of these are partly secular too. Copper. Copper is a hell of a story because basically the electrification of the world, the rollout of green energy requires more copper. There's a huge shortage of copper. The long-term chart is one hell of a pattern, and there's a good chance that copper goes a lot higher. And I'll be speaking to, I think, Dwight Anderson about this whole trend.